Whispers in the Labyrinth. Alex always believed in clarity, in clear plans, measurable results, logical chains leading from point A to point B. His life, it seemed, was built like a perfect labyrinth, where every turn was predictable and the exit obvious. He led a successful startup, lived in a beautiful house, and his schedule was booked months in advance. But one night, waking up in the middle of it, he felt a strange dissonance, as if within this ideal labyrinth, he had lost the thread of Ariadne that led him to himself. He tried to find a solution using familiar methods, more time management books, new productivity strategies, the most expensive coaches. But the more he searched for external tools, the more his inner turmoil grew. The labyrinth no longer felt like a perfect path, but an endless repetition of the same circles. One day, during another business trip, stranded in a forgotten airport due to a canceled flight, Alex decided to walk around. He wandered through the corridors, listening to the hum of hundreds of voices, until he stumbled upon a small, inconspicuous room where an old record player spun a disc. It wasn't music, but simply silence. Not absolute silence, but one filled with barely audible rhythmic sounds. The rustle of wind, the distant sound of waves, the quiet crackle of a fire. The record cover bore only one word: contemplation. Alex sat on a chair and closed his eyes. He listened to this silence, and gradually the airport's hum, the worry about work, the fear of uncertainty, all of it began to recede. For the first time in a long time, he wasn't trying to do something, achieve something, plan something. He simply was. And in this simple being, he began to perceive something. Not words, not thoughts, but a whisper. The whisper of his own inner voice, long drowned out by the noise of his perfect labyrinth. The whisper didn't give answers. It asked questions. Not the kind of questions that demanded a logical response, but those that required feeling. Why are you striving for this? What truly makes you happy? What are you willing to sacrifice? And what are you not? Alex returned home a changed man. He didn't abandon his startup, nor did he drastically change his life overnight. But he altered his approach. He began to set aside time for silence, not for scheduled meditation, but for minutes when he simply listened. The rustle of leaves outside his window, the city's hum from his apartment, the quiet before sleep. And each time he caught that whisper. Sometimes it was a whisper of regret for what he had missed. Sometimes a quiet reminder of a forgotten dream. Sometimes a confident hint at the right decision, which his logical mind had rejected. He realized that the labyrinth of his life hadn't disappeared, but now he had a thread that led not to an exit, but to himself. It led through every turn, showing that the true direction isn't external, but in the ability to hear that subtle whisper within. Reflections and questions for you. Alex's story reminds us that in the pursuit of external goals, we often lose touch with the most important thing, our inner compass. We fill our lives with plans, tasks, and information, but sometimes we forget to make time for the silence that allows us to hear our own unique whisper. So, friends, I have a few questions for you. How often do you allow yourself to sink into silence to hear your inner voice? What noise, external, social media, news, others' opinions, or internal anxieties, doubts, endless to-do lists, most often drowns out your own whisper? And what are you willing to change? Or what do you plan to do to better hear this whisper that can lead you to a deeper understanding of yourself and your path? Share your reflections in the comments, Perhaps your answers will help someone else find their own thread in the labyrinth.